So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, and their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning, I'm delighted to have with us Lee Teal, who's owner at Love Brownies. So, firstly, Lee, thank you so much for coming on this morning, talking to a little bit about you and Love Brownies. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Love Brownies, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
No problem. Good morning, Chris. Yeah, so what's Love Brownies? Love Brownies primarily was and still is a gifting website. We tend to, my beautiful wife bakes lots of chocolate brownies and we send them through the post to our customers. On the back of that, we run cafes that supply all sorts of wonderful things, but the key really is the brownies.
Wonderful,
That's
wonderful. And you obviously you're based in the quite in a beautiful part of the county of Yorkshire.
Yeah, we're in the Yorkshire Dales National Park. We're just near somewhere called Bolton Abbey in the middle of the Dales in the most beautiful place ever. We were very lucky to get the opportunity to build our main bakery in the middle of the Dales. So it's converted cow barn on the side of somewhere called Simon Seat, which is just stunning. We're very, very, very lucky to work where we do. Although it's freezing at the minute.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, if we look back a little bit to start with, if you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into business and why this particular one.
Yeah, I guess my journey's been a bit weird and wonderful. I did sports science at university. I then started a personal training business that and running health clubs and things, and that's where I met my wife. On the back of that, I got a job with her father, um, basically as a product developer. I needed to visit factories around the world, and I got really into furniture product development. So I spent 15 years really developing products for customers like John Lewis, and did a hell
Wow.
of a lot of work with John Lewis. Um, had lots of products in Harrods. It was just a really nice way of designing things. So that my background really has come through product development and design, talking
Yep.
to designers and getting products to come alive. That's my background, and fitness. I guess that's where I get with the chatting to people.
Brilliant. And you I think you mentioned that the business that was started primarily by your wife, who's an amazing baker.
Yeah, I think it will. I think things change when you start a family, and I think at that time she wanted to work from home. She's a very active person. She couldn't think about not working.
Yep.
So I was really lucky because I was surrounded by really talented people working at John Lewis, whatever, and we managed to create an amazing website for her that sold her chocolate brownies. She's a mad perfectionist, so she started making these chocolate brownies individually. Like most people make chocolate brownies in a big tray bake, and there's all the dry ones on the outside, and the middle one's got all the moisture in it. She couldn't
Yeah.
handle that. It was like, I need to have these perfect. So she started doing these little U tins. She designed a little tin, created an amazing chocolate brownie, and we did little boxes of 8, and we sent them all over the world. Really, it
Wow.
was a crazy little website, but that's how it all started.
Wowzers, wowzers. So when you were growing up personally, is this what you foresaw yourself doing, or did you have other things planned?
I always wanted to be a PE teacher, actually. But I think it was clear when I got to university, I set up a few things that made money, and my entrepreneurialism started there, really. I've
Yes.
always found, um, building systems that can make money. And I'm not driven by money, I'd be quite happy in a caravan in the field. But making money, I really,
Yes.
I just became natural at being able to connect people together to create things and make things move. And yeah, I guess that's been my whole story throughout,
Brilliant.
even with brownies.
Brilliant. So looking back over the development of the business, what are some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome?
I think I said this at the start. So Love Brownies has been through an incredible journey, but
Yeah.
we franchised my wife's cafe in 2017, and we were incredibly successful. We managed to build 27 cafes in such a short period of time. You know, you sort of the success of it all went crazy. And then lockdown comes and you've got loads of cafes. So you've got everybody looking at you. So lockdown was an incredible challenge for me and the
Yeah.
wife, running a company with your wife and having all those challenges thrown at you and everybody ringing, what are we going to do today? And, at that stage, we probably had 80 staff that just looking at us, are we doing furlough? What are we doing? So getting through lockdown. And then, as I explained, Love Brownies had to go into voluntary liquidation soon after lockdown finished.
Yeah.
We'd borrowed too much to get us through, and then nobody wanted to lend any money afterwards. Nobody went back to work. That was the killer, working from home. What's all that about?
I know.
I know. So, we've got all these amazingly beautiful cafes in the city centres, and people are working at home. So it soon become apparent that, we just couldn't do it. We were still, franchising. We were still selling the franchises, but getting them built and the failure of all the other ones not getting the turnover that they need, that was incredibly hard, going through a liquidation with your wife and losing everything and trying to figure out how you keep your family together. And do you still want to do this? Do you still want Love Brownies? But we've always called Love Brownies our third child. We didn't go for another kid because we were so busy. We Love Brownies, so we needed to protect it. So that's been the really tough part. Has not been the building it, although that was hard work. It's actually bringing it down to a level and getting it to, just getting it to be self-sufficient and being okay again. So we've got to that point now, and it's easy to talk about it and enjoy the lessons that we've been through.
Brilliant. And really well done. It was I don't need to tell you this, but it was a very difficult time for many businesses, and lots didn't make it. But you've come through that to where you are now. So really well done. And you said there was a lot of lessons. What are some of the biggest learnings that you have about business in general, whether that's through the challenges or the growth also that you've experienced?
I think fundamentally, you really do, you plan these things. I'm an avid note taker, and I'm incredible. I feel as though I'm really organised. I mean, people beat me up sometimes for not sweating the detail, but in my head, I'm really detailed. I just don't have to focus on the detail that often because it's really expensive and it slows you down. But I think the biggest learning is you're not in control, so you've got to learn to be really positive no matter what comes. The minute you think you've got it is the minute you take your eye off the ball and it all goes. So just learning to be really to enjoy whatever fires you are given on a daily basis is probably the biggest learning I've had. And also, I'm a talker. I've had to learn to listen a lot more and slow yourself down. When you're going through difficult patches, don't make decisions when you're under too much pressure or you're not in a good frame. Say, go and get on your bike or go for a run and slow those big decisions down. When you are fighting fires, listen.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I love the phrase "slow down to speed up." So, take a step back. You
got to go back to go forward.
Got to go back to go forward. Absolutely, and I think it's really important to do that. It's not always easy in the moment, is it? Because if we're under stress and pressure, the normal reaction is to make a quick decision or take a quick action. But often it's the best thing we can do is sit back. I remember the CEO of my organisation telling me a long time ago. He said, "Chris, the job of a business owner is to solve problems." And he sort of said, so, if you don't like problems, sort of get out of Dodge to an extent. And I think it's really worth identifying that. It is, that's our job, isn't it? So problems are things we should get comfortable with. In fact, I personally believe growth causes problems. And so if we don't have problems, we're probably not growing fast enough. If things were really easy, we're probably not achieving the potential that we could.
Well, yeah, and I think and business owners, they're there to make decisions. So they've got to make the difficult decisions. You're never gonna keep everybody happy, but there's a speed in which you make decisions. When everything's going well, you can make decisions fast and you keep that momentum. But
Yes.
when things start to get a bit more difficult, you've just got to slow your decision making down. And
Yeah.
I guess that was one of the biggest learnings. I thought after COVID, right, get moving, sell more franchises, build more, go, go, go. And it wasn't the right thing. I should have taken stock a little bit. And
Yes.
instead, if I'd have just stabilized really quickly instead of continuing to grow. Because, I can remember coming back after lockdown and we got these nice new offices. And I had, probably £6 million worth of business on the board. I'd sold another 20 franchises. And when you look at the board, I was thinking, well, what we got to worry about? Every franchise is worth 150K. That's going to generate this. It's going to generate this. But I didn't have any money in bank. Bank weren't going to lend me any more money because I'd just been dragged through COVID.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have sold. I shouldn't have continued selling. I shouldn't have continued employing. I should have just slowed it all down. But that's me being harsh. I think going back when you've got all that money on the board and you're thinking, oh, these are all sold. Go, we can do this. Everybody's lined up. But yeah, you live and learn, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I personally believe we all do the best we can with the resources we have, whether that, and resources include money, time, but knowledge too. We can't, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but only after the event in many ways. And
yeah, definitely got a lot of grey hair now.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, no hair, but you know what I mean.
And you're probably aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you, Lee?
I suppose I've had two coaches. One probably bad. My father-in-law, I struggled to get on with, and although we were running a company together, that was a really banging heads. We all, I learned a lot of the bad stuff from my father-in-law, not being able to do the teamwork with him. I also had probably a really amazing mentor called Bill Becker, who's a designer in the States. And he really took me under his wing. And through all the good bits and the bad bits, he was always very positive. But he really did sweat the detail. And he really taught me how to slow down and make better decisions and concentrate on your brand. That was really good. He had a really interesting one, actually. He used to always walk into factories and told them to add pitter tax. Pitter, he used to call it a pitter tax. And I used to think, what you on about? He says, look, I know that I am going to be a pain in the ass. So you need to charge this company, tell the factory, if we're going to work together, add a little bit more onto your money because I'm going to make you sweat. And I just thought that was amazing, up front straight away. I'm not going to, give me a price. I'm going to try my best to get the best price, but I am going to be a pain in the ass. So, stuff like that. But definitely my father-in-law and a guy called Bill Becker has definitely had the biggest effects on me. Brilliant. There's other people, of course. Yeah, my dad.
Yeah, I mean, we draw, we draw it from many different ways, don't we? And I always find it really interesting to reflect on that. And whether it's from these guys or anywhere else, do you find yourself using any favourite quotes or sayings of or about business in general?
I think there's so many in there. I reckon the one that I always go back to is, if nothing changes, nothing changes. I reckon that's the one thing that I laugh about and I use quite often. It's if nothing changes, nothing changes. Just don't get up and carry on doing the same thing. That's silly, isn't it?
I mean, I totally agree. In fact, somebody I interviewed, I think it was last week, said exactly the same. Was one of those, because I think it is absolutely right. In fact, I think they talked about the definition of madness, isn't it? Repeating the same thing and assuming you get a different result. It's
yeah. I mean, I think we talked about it before, but your job as a business runner is to collect all the data, get everybody's opinion, get everybody in a room, take all the information, and make a decision. If you get all that information, you've got it all, and you don't do it with it. It's like, hang on, you're not doing your job, lad.
When things are going fast, no decision is not a decision we can afford to make. Is it? It's doing nothing is not a decision.
Keep moving, and you'll learn it. But the bad ones you learn loads from. So
yes, I found, and we talked earlier about the speed of growth, and obviously you've identified. I think you said at the height, you would, was it a new cafe every month? I
Every
think
month for 2 years, we did at least, well, 20 in 2 years.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, we had quite significant growth, certainly in my first business in the part I was running, and I got to this point where I had to basically I had to come to get comfortable with the idea of I had to make a decision on what the next option was. But I then had to just have the confidence that by my actions I'd make it the right one, even if it wasn't, in hindsight, it was, look, I'm going to do everything I can to make it the right one. And that, I think that's the only way we can trust ourselves and keep moving forward.
Yeah, I think, and on that, and if people are watching this, but it's great that for people like us and entrepreneurs, but the people who are following us, they're not usually entrepreneurs, and you've got them in seats. And I
Yes.
think there's a massive risk of them getting exhausted because they're thinking, what the hell is this guy doing? Although we're making these decisions and trying to keep the momentum going, I think you've got to be really aware of the people who are supporting you and the
Yeah.
effect that you're having on those people. So, yeah, although, you go back, I did 20 cafes in 2 years, but I had some really good people, amazing people who supported me through it.
I'm
But
sure.
God, stress I must have put on their lives. And I apologize. I'm sorry if anybody's watching this.
It's interesting you say that actually because I work with a lot of business owners that are going through the stage of I always say, look, to get to a certain size of business, certain level of success, you only really need a few good people with sheer blood and guts. Just work really, really hard. Um, but the challenge is if we continue to make the growth of a business dependent on our own time, then ultimately we're going to run out. We've all got limit. There is limited time. There's only so much we can do. And going from a stage of it's down to me and how hard I work to it's how well I become a leader of other people working hard. That transition is quite a challenging mindset change that I find a lot of people do struggle with.
Yeah, for sure.
It,
Yeah. Like now, I run my business. We've got maybe 17 of us, 18 of us. I really do make sure that I go around and give people the high fives and the hugs and make sure that they're all right as well. Because, yeah, it's an important part of being a leader.
and I think the second part to that is, and I always use the analogy of a ship, is that it's great that our team know that if really something really is urgent, important, would come and help.
Yeah.
We're willing to do that. But our job is actually steering the ship. So, while we're standing next to them pulling the sails up, they're actually saying, well, who's in charge? And it's being more comfortable with that idea, that our job is to be the cool, calm leader that says, look, yeah, all right, the seas are rough, but we're going to navigate through this. And
Yeah, I trust John.
yeah, I think it's so, so important. So whether it's about leadership or other things, what would you say you've learned about yourself through your journey so far, Lee?
Um, it's difficult. That I'm stronger than I thought I would be. That yeah, that making sure that your wife's really happy and really having somebody you can when it's been really tough. We're a husband and wife business, so being able to rely on each other and have that trust in a relationship has been amazing, and
Right.
that surprised me that we managed to stick so close throughout all this.
Brilliant.
Yeah, just and being more straight talking. You don't need to exaggerate. As a young man, you sort of you, you tend to exaggerate and be a bit more salesy, don't you? And you don't need to do that as long as you're honest and you're smiling and you're um, more straight talking. You get more traction
Yeah.
by limiting the amount of words, being straight talking. Even if it's a hard message you need to get across, just get it out. Don't sit on it. If you've got an issue,
Brilliant.
crack on, tell them with a smile.
Brilliant. I think I think, I found being authentic, being me. And so I interviewed someone a few weeks ago and she had a lovely phrase because she said, always be yourself because everyone else is taken.
Yeah, it's really yes, good point. I think, but it's really difficult, isn't it, being yourself? Because actually, being a manager as such, sometimes you've got to say things that isn't natural. You know, you might be feeling really terrible, or you might have had a row with the wife, or your kids are giving you, or, you know, a lot of it is not being yourself when you're managing people, and it's quite lonely, isn't it, when you've got to pretend to be ace all the time. You know, you walk into a room and be the
Definitely.
positive, hey, right, let's go nail it, guys, we can do this. But really, you're thinking, I just want to go home, I can't be asked. You know, so yeah, it's all right. But I think as you get older, being genuine and straight talking becomes a lot more easy, and
Yeah.
you know yourself better, for
And I
sure.
think, the more authentic we are, the more people get it. So that, we may be having a challenging time, but we'll get through it.
Yeah.
It's yeah, no, absolutely brilliant. So obviously you've come through some really fascinating times of high growth, challenge. So looking forward now, what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think might face, if any?
Um, I think the biggest challenge for me right now is making sure that my beautiful wife wants to go again. You know, I've got so
Yeah.
much energy and drive and all
Yes,
these things I've learned. I want to, I need to use this information that I've got. So doing it in a controlled way with the support of my wife. But I'd really like to build her. She's working at a very small bakery now, and we've got all this amazing equipment, but we haven't got we're not the size to use it all. So I'd really like to build her a really nice new bakery, and I'd like to get back to my hometown of Ilkley, and where we had the first shop,
brilliant,
to build another shop there. For me, it'd just be a bit more of a statement, and just say, look, we've done it. We went up and down, but we're still here, and all those customers who supported us right at the very start, to take our shop back to Ilkley, and yeah, to open it up there again, it'd definitely be a really big tick for me.
brilliant.
But I'm not, again, control the accelerator, Lee. You've just got to, yeah, just look at the surroundings. So yeah, we'll see. I'll make sure that we've got plenty of, got to look after the brass, and make sure that the family and us are secure. So that's the other thing I forgot when we were growing. I never thought about paying off my own mortgage or anything. You just thought everything's in the business, let's go. So this time, if I'm going to go again, I'm going to make sure that actually personally I'm okay and there's a roof over my kid's head.
Brilliant, brilliant. And all that, and all that learning has incredible value when it teaches us the best way
Yeah, yeah.
for ourselves. And I am really interested to know what you'd say to anyone that was thinking of going into a business right now.
Do it first and foremost. I think being entrepreneurial and being your own boss, I think it's just the most amazing thing. And it's, for me, it's a bit like having children. If you don't have children, you're not going to learn about all that amazing ups and downs. And same with working for yourself. It might not be for you, but give it a go. I think it's be brave, make decisions, put yourself out there, believe in yourself. But do it. Make sure you can stay positive, and make sure you can deal with being kicked in the goalies. Just make sure that you can roll with it,
Yeah,
and smile when it's hard. If you can do that, yeah, crack on.
I think resilience is a common factor in many of the people I've spoken to, and many of the people I know is that ability to keep going, get up again. Um, and and we've said earlier, the benefit of hindsight's a wonderful thing after the event. But if you look back, if you started again, is there anything significant that you do differently?
Uh, it's weird, isn't it? I don't think there's massive significant. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I'd want to. I'd probably need to listen more, slow down. My key staff, who I think I'd be a much better leader now, and make sure that I didn't expect everybody to go as fast as me. I think I know a lot more about myself now. So yeah, controlling the speed and the accelerator, and making sure that the brake and accelerator are working better together. And yeah, listen, that's probably my biggest learnings.
Brilliant, brilliant. And finally, what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that?
An 18-year-old me. I mean, I'm quite happy with myself. I know that's weird, but I think if for my kids now, there's a few things. Get up early. Get up early. Make your bed.
Make you
Do
there.
some, yeah. Do some exercise. You know, get your own head in the right space. You know, exercise plays a massive part for me. So yeah, get up early, um, and do stuff. You know, I think kids don't do enough. You know, if they're 18, you need to do stuff. The more you do, the more you learn, and you'll make better decisions off it. If you're doing more, just do stuff, do stuff, do stuff. Yeah,
Brilliant.
read the occasional book.
Yes. Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, look, like, it's been really fascinating talking to you, and I really appreciate taking the time to speak to us. And just having this conversation about how, you've come through high growth, challenging times, and back looking at the future is to real credit. And I really appreciate the learning that you've had, that you've chosen to share that today. And for anyone that's watching would like to get in touch with you or the business, or like to come and visit you up in the Dales, what would be the best way to do that?
Well, look, we've got an amazing website called lovebrownies.co.uk. I mean, you can read about me and my wife and the journey that we've been on there. But if you really do want a unique dining experience and come to see all this years of creating cafes, we've got a beautiful location out near Skipton, near Bolton Abbey, that's called the Brownie Barn, I think. That's a great place to go. We've also, this is the bit where you sort of do your own a little bit, but our Harrogate branch, Grassington branch, and we've got a lovely tea room at Parsable Hall too. But yeah, come and say hello, try my wife's brownies, and you'll know what we're all about.
Brilliant. And what sort of opening times are there especially up in the Dales? Because it's not too far from here, but it's a fair old trip. But
Yeah, well, to be fair, we bake every day. So in the winter, we tend not to open on a Monday at the cafe, open on a Monday and Tuesday at the Brownie Barn. Our other cafes are open 7 days a week, 9 till 5. But the Brownie Barn in the summer, it kicks off with bacon sandwiches at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're having a beer and a pizza at 9 o'clock at night. So it's a full on thing, is the Brownie Barn, but it's a unique experience for sure.
brilliant, brilliant. Well, it'd be great to swing by another 6 to 12 months to just see
Pop up.
where things are going. I'm definitely going to come in up. I'll now you said bacon butties. I'm not. I have to be honest though. I don't eat a lot of brownies, although it might look like I do. But bacon butty and a coffee would be perfect. And but for now, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
No problem at all, Chris. Lovely to speak to you, mate.
Thank you.